everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am so excited to be doing the tutorial for the gift bag. Yes. Make a little commotion for the bag, people. This is my sister's first ever pattern and I am so in love with it. So guys, go grab your pattern and then let's start to make this beautiful bag together. Okay, so we're going to start with our exterior pieces. Here I've got my main body panels, front and back, and here I've got my strap. So you have all these pieces in your pattern with their measurements. Then I've got the strap connectors, I've got the band for my bow, and I'm going to be doing a combination of this white vinyl and this snakeskin blue, white and black vinyl. So these are my bow pieces. This is a tail piece, it comes in twos, and this is the main bow piece. Okay, so once you have your main body, your exterior pieces cut, this is my lining. You're going to cut out your interior piece that consists of the pocket panels, the main body panels, and then your facing panel, which is cut from your exterior material. Okay, so that's all you need for your interior. And then for your stabilizer is going to be cut in one full piece. Okay, you're not going to have any joining. So in the pattern, the stabilizer comes as only half of this, so you have to connect you have to connect it in 4 places. Basically, you print out 4 pieces of your stabilizer, so you just connect it and draw out a full piece without any joining at the bottom or the sides. So to start with our exterior construction, we're going to place our main body panels right sides together, and then at the base we are going to stitch by half an inch. Sewn together my main body panel at the base, and this is what it's going to look like when you open it up. But firstly, before we continue to add our stabilizer, I'm going to add my glue. You can also make use of double-sided tape. So I'm doing this to the areas around, so I'm doing this on the seam allowance and the areas around the seam allowance. Basically, we want to open this up and lay it flat so we don't have bulk in that area. I'm applying my gum now, and this is what it looks like currently. So I'm just going to open up my seam allowance like this and press it down. Now keep in mind, if you're using contact cement adhesive, you have to wait for the gum to dry before it can stick together. So just want to press it down to make sure that your seam lays flat, and basically this is what you get. Now what I'm going to do next is to go to my sewing machine, and on both sides of the seam allowance I'm just going to top stitch. Okay, so I'm at my sewing machine now. I'm going to top stitch the base area, and what I'm going to do is to apply some oil there. This is just like the machine oil, the one I use to lubricate my machine. I'm doing this because of the glue. My machine hates glue, so whenever I want to stitch areas where there's glue, I just have to apply that oil and everything goes smoothly. Oopsie, that was my thread. So you want to top stitch with 1/8 of an inch. You don't need to do more than that, or maybe depending on your preference really. Okay, so I'm done with my top stitch. It's time to fuse my stabilizer to the main exterior panels. I have my stabilizer fused to my exterior piece already, and on the sides it should extend by half an inch, while at the tops it should extend by 3/4 of an inch. That's 0.75 at the top and 0.5 on the sides. So what I want to do next now is to use my pattern to mark the placement for the bow. First I'm going to look at it and decide which part I like the patterns best. That part is going to be the front of my bag, so I'm just going to decide what part I like. I'm going to take my pattern and then transfer the location for my bow. I have my bow placement transferred already to the exterior piece, and you can't really see it because I again had to use this pencil. But what we are going to do, once you transfer it, you have that on your pattern, don't worry, you're just going to cut out like straight slits. So you can use a cutter, you can use a blade, and this is actually my eyebrow shape, but then one of the extras in the pack, and I was like, the blade is really sharp, so let me just use it. Yeah, so I'm just going to make a straight slit, just a slit along those marks, and then you have to make sure it cuts through though. You have to make sure it cuts through to the other side through your stabilizer. I hope it doesn't cut through my table though, thinking about it now. Okay, so basically this will serve as the placement for this will serve as where you're going to place your bow. Moving to sewing on my zipper, and what I'm going to do first is to cut out my zipper tape. This is 11 inches, and then we're going to mark out 1 inch from the top. So you're going to mark out 1 inch from the top, and then you're just going to open up your zipper tape and fold under where you marked. You fold under like this, just to create this bend. So you do that on the second side as well. Basically, you just want to do that for both sides. You go to your sewing machine and just stitch this down. You could also use a hand needle to just tack this down with. Basically, what we want to do oh my god, if I had $1 for every time I had said basically today. Anyways, what we want to do is just make sure that this place is held down. So you can either do that on the sewing machine or just use your hand needle. I have my the edges of one side of my zippers cornered already, and then what we want to do next is to sew it onto our exterior piece. On both sides we're going to measure 2 inches, like from the top edge, from the edges at the top we're going to measure 2 inches. So that's where our zipper is going to be starting and stopping from. I know you can't really see my markings, but don't worry. Once I install the zipper, you'd understand what I'm doing better. So I'm marking 2 inches from both sides basically. Okay, now that we have that on, I'm going to separate my zipper, and then what we're going to be doing is you're going to place your zipper and the main exterior piece right sides together. Okay, and on both sides this is what it should look like. So it's going to be opposites. You don't want to go like this, sewing one right side wrong sides together instead of both right sides together. So you want to place both your zipper and your exterior piece on both tops. You want to place them right sides together, and then we're going to go onto our sewing machine and stitch it. So we're going to stitch it from where we marked. Okay, that's here, and we're going to stop here. You're going to stitch it, a basting stitch basically, just to hold it down before our final assembly. So we're going to make sure that the zipper is 1/8 of an inch, just this little bit, 1/8 of an inch lower on the exterior piece. I hope you can see that. So I'm just going to go into my sewing machine and baste this down. This is 1/8 of an inch lower than the upper part of I have my zipper already installed, and this is what it looks like. What I'm going to do is to place my exterior piece right sides together like this, and I'm going to sew at the sides by 1/2 inch. This is what it looks like. I'm just going to go ahead, and also you can use clips for these areas. You know, if you don't feel comfortable just freehanding it, you want everything stable in place, you can just hold it together with clips. So I'm just going to open up the corners like this. The base area is already opened up with our glue. I'll open this one up and connect it, making sure that my centers are aligned. These are the corners of the back the boxed corners at the bottom. So I'm just going to connect it like that and stitch it together. So I'm just going to do the other side as well. Making sure that all my seams are centered. So I have my exterior piece done, and I haven't done it right side out yet, but I'm going to go ahead to work with my bow. So I'm going to be doing the bow for my for this bag differently from the pattern, but I'm going to show you with this vinyl, this pink vinyl, how to follow the pattern correctly. Then I'm going to show you the way I'm making the bow for this particular bag as well. So let's just get started with our bow pieces. So I have the two tails for the pink bow here, and what you want to do is to, on the wrong side of your vinyl, you want to mark out 1/4 of an inch. That's basically going to serve as our seam allowance. Now I'm just going to eyeball this. I'm pretty good at that, but if you're not, you want to just take your measuring tape and mark out 1/4 seam allowance, 1/4 inch seam allowance. So once we have our 1/4 inch marked, we can just mark out 1 inch from here. The 1/2 inch seam allowance at the bottom, we are going to measure up 1 inch from there. So we're going to do that on both sides. Okay, so once we are done with that, we want to go to the sewing machine and sew from here right down the bottom of the tail, coming like this and back over here. Then we're going to stop at the 1 inch mark on this side. We are going to also take this part of the bow, this is the larger part of the bow, and then we're going to fold it together like this. You fold the right sides together and you're just going to sew along this part using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, you're gonna be supporting. Now is to add glue to these areas. You know, we stopped our seam right about here, down here. So we're going to need to fold over these places before we flip it right side out. So you can use your double-sided tape. I'm just going to use my adhesive, contact cement adhesive for that. I have my glue applied to this part of the bow. You're going to fold over basically on that. We're folding over on that 1/4 inch line we drew earlier on. You're going to do that on both sides of your bow. You're also going to be folding over this one. Basically the same thing we did for the base of the exterior piece. We just want to flatten those seams. So I applied my glue on both sides and I'm just going to do that. gone ahead to flatten the seam allowance for this. So we're just going to turn this right side out. You want to do that carefully so you don't rip your seams. Okay, so I have it out and this is what it looks like. Then I'm going to go ahead to trim off the corners of this, you know, just to prevent bulk in those areas. And then I'm going to make triangle shaped notches just to, you know, help our shape in those corners come out well. Okay, so once I'm done doing that, I'm just going to carefully turn this tail right side out. Okay, so I've pushed out my corners as best as I can, and then I'm just going to flip this so it looks like this. Oh, okay, I think we're going to need to, like, you know, make some cuts here as well, just to help that place lay flat when we flip it over. Yeah, so that's better. Okay, so we're just going to fold it to meet each other like this on both sides. I hope you can see that. And then we're going to top stitch all around the tail of the bow. And then for this, we're going to make sure that this seam is at the center like this, and we're going to top stitch these areas, okay, the top and the bottom. Okay, so I have my bow pieces here and I'm about to top stitch. Now you can hold this together with clips, or I'm just going to secure it with dots of my super glue in some places on all sides, just little dots basically. I'm not really a fan of clips, like, I don't know, I just don't like them. I feel like they get in the way, and so I just prefer to use glue. Anywho, I'm just going to apply some oil to make sure that my stitches are nice and perfect and that it moves well on the machine, because sometimes some vinyl just kind of gets stuck, and this feels like the type that would, you know, act like that. So Oh, I lost some footage. I did not realize my camera went off. Anyways, this is what the bigger part looks like, top stitch, and I finished up the top stitch for this one as well. I finished with long thread tails, so I'm just going to pull them to the back and tie them off once I'm done. Now what you want to do is to center this part of your bow like this. Now the pattern calls for you to place it on top of each other and top stitch, but I feel that might be a little bulky, so I'm just going to place them like they're going to meet together like this, and then I will top stitch the two sides down. So once I'm done with all my top stitch, I'm just going to pleat my bow. So we've just got one and two pleats, and this is what it's going to look like. So pretty, right? So you want to pleat it, just fold like this one, and then another fold, and then you have this pretty bow. So I'm just going to secure this with some super glue. I think at this stage you simply have to use super glue because I don't think there's anything that will hold it. You all know I love super glue. I just love it. Like, so I have my bow, and basically this is what it will look like. Once you want to insert it onto your bag, you just continue. So I would continue on with the next step with the actual bow I would be using for my blue bag. So I have my main bow piece here, and I'm just going to show you what I'm going to be doing with it. First of all, I'm going to top stitch all around. I'll do that for both the tail and the bow. I'm going to place them wrong sides together and top stitch all round. Okay, so I have it all top stitched now, and what I'm going to do is to trim off some of the excesses. I guess when I was cutting it, I didn't cut it properly, so both sides are not totally equal to each other. So I'm just going to trim off the sides that have some excesses. Okay, I think that's good. So I have a strip basically that I'm going to be using for binding. I want to bind the edges to just give it that nice look. That's what I'm going to be doing to this part. So for my binding, I already have a center line marked across all my binding. Now if you are new to binding or you don't want to freehand it, because that's what I'm going to be doing, you can just glue it down, add double-sided tape or contact cement. If you're using contact cement, you put contact cement on both the binding and the bow, but if you're using double-sided tape, you can just add double-sided tape to your binding strip and then glue it down all around before stitching. So yeah, I do have a little bit of pucker here, but I'm not too worried because remember we have our band that's going to go over here, so that's fine. So I'm almost to where I started. I'm just going to cut my binding piece. Yep, is that enough? Okay. Those edges are not going to show anyways because our band, the band for the bow is going to cover it up, so you don't have to be too worried about that. Okay, we're done with the tail. I think that's the most difficult part, and this is how it looks. Not bad at all. And this is the other side as well. So this is what it looks like on the, okay, this is what it looks like on the left, and this is what it looks like on the right, and this is obviously where it's going to be, right side out. So it's pretty good, pretty lovely, right? Moving on, we're going to tape the long part, and this is quite easy, basically just a straight line, and we have our center line. Okay, I didn't show you why I have my center line marked. So what I do basically is just to place it like this, so the edges of wherever you're taping should be hitting that center line, so you have equal sides on the front and the back. That makes it very easy for you to do your taping, your binding rather. So I'm just going to go ahead and bind this part of the bow as well. Hey, that's it. Okay, so I've done the binding for the first side. I'm just going to trim my binding and then go ahead and do the second side as well. Like this. Once I'm done with my binding, I want to go ahead and proceed like I did with the previous bow. I'm just going to center these edges at the back, and then I'm going to do my top stitch again, just like we did with the pink bow. You want to make sure this is at the center so you don't have off stitches. But anyways, even if you make that mistake, the band is still going to cover up all those areas anyway, so you're good to go. Okay, so I went ahead and did my pleats. I didn't know I wasn't recording. So annoying. It can get so annoying sometimes. Anyways, just follow the same way we pleated the pink bow, and you'll be fine. So we have our bow and we have our tail. Let's move on to the interior line, the lining construction. Okay, before I go on to construct my interior, that is the lining, I want to work on my straps, the band of the bow, and then my strap connectors first. And I've marked the center line down all of them, and I'm just going to apply some glue to it. Okay, so on our long strap, I completely forgot to leave 4 inches. We're meant to leave 4 inches unglued because of the way the strap is constructed. It will all make sense in a minute, trust me. So I'm not going to glue this part for now, and I'm just trying to see if I can start folding. Okay, so I'm going to start folding the edges from that 4 inches that I've marked. I'm going to start folding the edges to meet at the middle point. Okay, so I have my strap done, and now I'm going to be doing my strap a little bit differently, in the sense that the pattern actually calls for a rectangle ring that is on the strap connector, and it connects directly to this. But I want my strap to be removable, so I'm going to be using swivel hooks instead of rectangle rings. So I'm going to insert my swivel hook into the strap like this, both of them. In this case, if you are following the pattern method, you're going to insert your rectangle ring. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to place my strap right sides together and just sew it together with a half-inch seam allowance. So let's put that aside and fold to meet at the center the edges of our strap connectors as well, so we can just take everything to our sewing machine and stitch it all at once. Okay, so this is our bow band, and I'm just going to fold the edges to meet at the center as well. So for the strap connector, I'm going to insert the rings, and we are going to be stitching it down by 2 inches. So you want to make sure that this part is about 2 inches. Okay, so we do that for the second side as well. I'm just going to secure that with a dot of super glue. You can use double-sided tape as well. So you're folding over, like the wrong sides are together, okay? Don't make the mistake of folding over right sides together. It should be wrong sides together. So that's 2 inches, and I'm going to hold this down again with a spot of super glue. Okay, so once we're done with that, we're just going to head over to the sewing machine and do our seams and stitch the parts that need to be sewn on this. I'm going to top stitch, and you know I already have glue on this place. I'm just going to apply my oil, and that is going to help my machine not refuse to stitch those places because of the glue that is on it. So I'm just going to stitch it together by 1/2 inch. Okay. Okay, so now once that is done, we want to open our seams. So these areas are not going to glue anymore because I've applied oil. I'm just going to take a bit of contact cement and reapply it to those areas where the seam is. So basically we want to just make sure our seam lays flat in these areas before we do the final top stitch for the strap. So while that is drying up, I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch my band, the band for the bow. Basically we're just going to take a top stitch all around it. Okay, I have this top stitch done now, and then we're going to go over to the strap connectors. So we want to top stitch from this side across and stop around here. We're stopping at the 2 inches mark. You know, we folded over by 2 inches, so you want to mark 2 inches on this side as well, and then you're going to top stitch and stop there And at those edges, when you start and you stop your stitch, you are not going to be top stitching because we're going to continue on that stitch on our lining fabric. So I'm just going to go ahead to start with long thread tails and start my top stitch. So I'm going to start and stop with long thread tails. You can just pull your thread to the wrong side, to the other side, and then tie it up to finish it up. So I'm going to do the same thing to the second strap connector as well. Okay. So I think I did not apply enough super glue and it opened up. Anyways, don't forget to start. Okay, so I'm just gonna put my thread tails to the left, to the wrong side, and then tie it up, and that will be finished. And I think our strap has dried up now enough for me to fold over. So we're gonna have it looking like this. So our seam is all laid flat, and I'm going to apply some glue so that I can fold over to meet at the center. I'm going to fold over the edges now to meet up at the center. So once I have everything folded to meet at the center, I'm just gonna pull down my swivel hook. I'm trying to find where okay. So hold on my swivel hook, and I'm going to make sure that the joint part is going to be close. You can as well put this joint part at the center of your strap, but I like the way it is in the pattern that is closer to the bottom of the strap on one side. So I'm just going to center my strap and pull the swivel hooks to opposite ends. I hope you can see that. And then my strap is looking like this. So basically we have a double strap right now. We're going to place them wrong sides together like this, and then we are going to top stitch all around the strap. So once I'm done with my strap, I'm going to move on to construct the interior, which is the lining piece. Now I have my two lining pieces here, so I'm just going to place it right sides together with my facing piece, and then we're going to stitch it together with a 1/2 inch seam allowance.
Okay, so next I'm going to fold over my seam allowance like this onto the facing fabric, onto the facing, and then I'm just going to top stitch. Now I'm going to go over to construct my pocket, and what I want to do is to mark out 1 inch from the edges. And then from this 1 inch, I'm going to start sewing by half an inch all around the pocket and stop my stitch at this second mark here. Okay, so once I'm done with my stitch, I'm going to cut off the excess at the corners. Just going to cut off the excess materials at the corners before I turn it right sides out. Now I'm going to flip the pocket right sides out, making sure to pull out all the corners properly. So I'm just going to use my scissors to push out those corners. Okay, so here's what it's going to look like when you're done. So you just want to fold in the rest of the seam allowance, the places that we did not sew in. You want to fold it in. You can also secure this with clips or glue, and then you just top stitch all around the top of the pocket. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to pick one of my lining piece and center it. I'm going to center my pocket, and I'm just going to top stitch all around from the sides, the bottom and the other side as well. Okay, it's pretty centered, so just going to top stitch. I have my pocket top stitch on now, and you can just leave it like this, but I'm just going to go straight down the middle of it with a stitch to create a double compartment. So I have my pocket all set now. My next step will be to place my lining pieces right sides together, and I'm just going to stitch them closed at the sides. Now we're going to be starting our stitch with a ½ inch allowance, seam allowance, but we're going to taper it into 3/4 just to make our lining more firm and not saggy. Okay, so now what we want to do is to top stitch our strap connectors onto the lining. This. So basically you're going to place your strap connectors on the seam. I'm going to just open up my seam. I don't want to use any glue, so I'm just going to open up my seam like this, and then I'll place my strap connector. I'll center it right on that seam. Yes. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to continue my stitch from where we stopped earlier on that 2 inches mark, and then I'm just going to top stitch straight around the strap connector. I'm going to do that on both sides of the seam of my lining piece. So once I'm done, this is what it's going to look like once I've top stitched my strap connectors onto the seam of the sides of the lining piece. And what I want to do now is to just place my lining right sides together again, and I'm going to sew the base together using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, so I'm just going to box sew the corners of my lining piece the same way we did to the main exterior piece. You just center it together and you stitch with the 1/2 inch seam allowance. You also have that done on both corners. Okay, so I forgot a step. You're meant to mark out 1/2 inch line at the top of your lining piece and also at the top of your exterior piece. So I have that done. Now for the lining piece, I think it will be easier to do this before installing your strap connectors. So what we want to do now is to apply glue or double-sided tape to these areas. You also make sure you open up your seams while doing this step. You want to use glue to open up these seams of both your lining and the exterior piece. And once we've done that, we're going to be folding over. You're going to fold over the 1/2 inch. You're not folding to the line, we're going to fold over the 1/2 inch line. Fold right at that 1/2 inch line, then you fold over onto the wrong side of both your lining piece and the main exterior piece. So I'll do that now. I applied my glue off the camera. I've done that to both my exterior piece and the lining piece, so I'm just going to fold over the edges now. I'm folding over the 1/2 inch line. Okay, so I have all my edges folded in nicely. I hope you can see that. And what I'm going to do next is to go on ahead to finish up with the construction of my bow. So I'm going to place my bow on the tail like this. I'm going to make sure it's well centered. So the tail of my bow is a bit bigger because I did it like this, the binding method. But as you can see on the pink one, the tail is just right, the measurement is just right. So I'm just going to fold over like this. Since there's going to be a band and it's going to be at the back, it's not going to be so obvious, yeah? First, I want to check to make sure that this is the side where my stitches are nice. Okay. So I'm just going to fold over and secure this with my glue. Yeah. Okay, now I have my tail secured to the bow. This is the band. I'm just going to center that. I'm going to center it and just glue it down as well. Just at the top areas for now to secure it. So I'm going to do that on both sides. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like once you're done with that, right? And then we're going to go into the front of our bag where we previously, the place we previously made our slits, and then you're going to insert the end of the bow band into those slits. Okay. Okay, so once I'm sure it looks as nice, it's as tight as I want it, I'm just trying to make it as tight as possible. Okay, so I think it's as tight as possible now, and then I'm going to secure these straps down with my super glue. So because it's extending a bit towards the upper part, I'm just going to trim it a bit. Yeah, so I trim that there. And then I'm going to hold this down with my super glue. Then I'll do the lower part as well. You want to make it as tight as possible. Okay, so just to give you some extra security, I'm going to go ahead to my sewing machine and stitch these places down. I hope you can see that these areas where our bow band extends on the left area, I'm just going to secure those areas with a stitch for extra security. Okay, so you want to make your stitch as gently as possible. Thinking about it though, we could have probably inserted our bow before joining the bag. That's an interesting thought. Anywho, I've secured the first part and I'm just going to maneuver it so I can stitch the second part as well. Be careful, be very gentle. This is not necessary, but just for extra security. And also you can make use of rivets if you will not be able to stitch these parts on your sewing machine. You can just make use of rivets.
Okay, so I'm done with that, and I'm just going to pull out my bag from under the sewing machine and trim off my threads.
Okay, so what we are doing next now, we want to connect the exterior and interior pieces together. Now you have to make sure that you're matching them to the correct parts. So I have my pocket facing the back side and the plain part facing the bow area, or you can do it however you wish to align it. So I'm just going to center the corners together at the bottom, and I'm just going to secure it with a stitch. I'll do that on both sides. Okay, so this is where we are at. Our lining piece and the exterior piece connected together. We are finally going to just turn it right side out. So okay, so I have my bag right side out, and this is what it's looking like. It is looking so beautiful. Oh my god, this bag is literally the cutest, right? So this is what it's going to look like. Your lining is all laid down. It is not going anywhere because of that connecting stitch we did at the bottom. Now what we just want to do is to secure the top of the bag like this, and then we'll make our final top stitch all around. So you can use clips for these places just to ensure that everything is nice and centered, but as usual it's gonna be me and my trusty super glue. At these areas, you want to make sure that your zipper extension is out of the seam like this. You don't want to put it in, you want to make sure it's out. So when you're sewing, just keep that in mind. Okay, so I've secured the top of the bag with some super glue, and I'm just going to take my oil and apply it all around. And this is the moment where you want to check your bobbin as well to make sure that on that final top stitch you're having no issues, because I always say something that I always say that the final stitch can make or break your bag. So I mean the final top stitch. So we're just going to go ahead and start our top stitch. I always like to start from the back. Okay, wish me luck. Okay, don't forget to tuck your zipper ends out of the way. Also, your strap connector should not be in the seam. It's going to be away from the seam. You have to be careful on this side. Just take it slow and easy. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to end with long thread tails, pull them in and finish them off at the wrong sides. Oh, okay, that was a nice top stitch. Glory be to God. So I'm done with my top stitch, and this is what my bag is looking like currently.
So here's my bag, and here's what it's looking like currently. My next step would be to use rivets, to install rivets on the side. So the rivet is going to go through all through the exterior piece and out into this strap connector. Basically, it's going to hold your strap connector firm to the sides of the bag. So I'm just going to set my rivets with my press machine. Okay, so now I have my rivets installed and everything is looking nice. My next step will be to install my zipper pull. I have some stray threads here. I'll take that off later. I'm going to install my zipper pull now. Okay, now that we've got that on, it's looking nice. And then I'm just going to finish up by installing my zipper cap or zipper ends, zipper stopper, whatever it's called, I don't really know. Just technically putting some super glue into the cap just to hold it down before I put in the screw. And then I put in the zipper. I just fold the edges of the zipper and then insert it into the zipper cap. So I'm just going to go ahead to put in a screw later on to hold it down. For now, I'll just wait for the glue to set. I'm just going to add a little bit more. Okay, so I'll wait for the glue to set and then I'll install my screw later. So I have my bag looking beautiful like this. So nice. I have my strap. So this is what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to achieve a removable strap, so that way I can have different strap options. I made a couple of other straps. I'll show you what they look like in a moment. So what you want to do is to just push in this extension of your zipper into the bag. That way you have everything looking nice and neat like this. And then I'm just gonna hook my strap onto the D-rings at the side, and we have our bag looking beautiful like this. Isn't it gorgeous, guys? It is all in all a beautiful bag. So for one of the other straps I made is this woven strap. It is so cute. I love the contrasting white colors that matches with the bow. The other strap I made is this woven chain strap. I just love it. It's so elegant, it's so cute, and I love the fact that you can have several different options for this bag. There's so many different ways you can combine your vinyl with your bow, with your strap. It's just a very beautiful pattern, and I hope you love it as much as I do.